Om Shri Sai Ram, and welcome to Friday Night Inspirations, bringing together great minds and great music all under one roof. Tonight, we begin our program with a beautiful song in the Rag Darbari Kannada, a song about the mind. Sai Ram.
मन से कोई
बात छुपे ना मन से कोई बात छुपे ना मन के नैन हजार मन के नैन हजार जैसे चाहे भागल कोई जैसे चाहे भागल कोई मन से भाग ना पाए तोरा मन दर वर्ण कहलाए 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 तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए तोरा मन दर्पण कहलाए. And with that, we continue to our next segment of tonight's program. Tonight, we have a triple special planned. First, our signature Dharmic Discussions. Next, a Divine Discourse from Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, God Himself. And concluding with the session of melodious Bhajans. So, here we are now, welcoming Siddharth Sai Shivakumar to this broadcast. Siddharth, Sairam.
Sairam, Rishi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, that's great. Sairam, everyone. Again, it's a great honor to be here. This is probably one of the highlights of my week, so it's a wonderful opportunity to get to just have a little conversation, just a little fun. If you're not familiar to listening right now, if you're not familiar with the format of Dharmic Discussions, we have, Rishi and I have a little conversation about a few different topics. And just try to highlight some of the interesting things about those topics through our discussions. So hope you enjoy.
Sure. So, Siddharth, today's song that opened up today's program was about the mind. What is so special about the mind?
Yeah, so the mind, I think, is one of the most interesting things that we've ever tried to tackle on this program. We were discussing it a little bit last week. If anyone has not listened to that broadcast, we'll post a link to it down in the description of this video. We were discussing a few different topics last week regarding self-control and patience and how that relates to the mind. But I thought it'd be really interesting to discuss it in more detail. So I think that and we were discussing this before, I think that the human's distinguishing feature is the mind, that the mind is what separates us from the other animals on this planet. And as Swami has repeatedly said, we want to try and separate ourselves from those sort of animalistic qualities. And the mind is what allows us to do that, because it gives us the control, the sentience, and the ability to have self-awareness, to avoid all the animalistic urges and tendencies that we observe.
Right, Siddharth. So what is so unique about human beings? I mean, we have this mind, and just coming to think about it, the human mind is so incredible. I mean, there have been philosophers who have said that the mind is more powerful than all the computers put together in the world.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting point. If you've been following the news recently, there has been a satellite, or a spacecraft, I should say, that has traveled all the way from Earth to a very distant comet out past Saturn. That comet's called 67P. It's not a very special comet, but this is the first time a spacecraft, the spacecraft name is Rosetta, by the way, has ever managed to get near a comet, forget be in orbit around the comet. And in a few months, they plan to release a very small module that'll set foot on that comet. It's a wonderful feat of science and technology, but what's important to remember is that, yes, it is powered by computers, but the actual brain power behind the entire operation is a human mind. That, to me, is one of the most amazing things. Amazing how nature has managed to pull together so many different forces to create one of the most powerful entities in the universe, which is the human mind, at least that we know of. And it's so amazing that, the mind is so powerful that even it cannot unravel its own mysteries. That, yes, there are some mysteries of the universe that are yet to be solved, and of mathematics and of science, but one of the most glaring omissions from our knowledge is of the mind, is how the brain works and how the mind is able to do such complex things. I was looking today at just talking about Rosetta, the spacecraft. I was looking today at a 3D model, which I can hopefully post in the description, of the orbit of this spacecraft that has to land on this comet. It's amazing. They launched this spacecraft 10 years ago, and they calculated very carefully what trajectory it has to take. It passes around the sun, numerous times, orbiting back and forth throughout the different planets and different objects, celestial bodies in our solar system, in order to get the momentum that it needs in order to travel out to this comet. It's truly astounding. So today I'm in awe of the brilliant power of the mind.
Yes, if we keep describing, all the human feats that have occurred because of this mind. The song itself, said, Manihi Devata, Manihi Ishwar, Man se bada na koi, which in Hindi means, mind is God, mind is Lord. There's nothing greater than the mind. And our mind is so powerful, we just close our eyes and we have this ability of imagination, which, sometimes is kind of preschooled out of perspective, thinking that imagination is only for little children. But come to think of it, meditation or visualization is all imagination. We're in high school, we're talking about, reading actively, reading so that, you can visualize what you're reading, you can visualize the actions happening in your mind. It is all essentially imagination. So this imagination is another great power that has been gifted to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I was always told as a child, by my mom and my dad, that the most powerful thing that we have is our imagination. How long does it take for us to get, we've visited the moon, which is an incredible feat of science and of the mind. But it took us, I think, about 2 or 3 days to get there. That's how long it takes with the technology that we have in order to reach the moon. We can send something there much faster. Just shine a beam of light, and it'll get there in about a second. But we can travel to the moon the fastest using our imagination. In a split second, less than a split second, a fraction of a second, we can imagine being on the moon. And that's the most powerful thing. And we can reach places with our mind that have never been reached before, places that have never even been imagined before. We can imagine things, which is amazing. But, the thing is that with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. So with the great power of the mind comes a great responsibility of keeping track of it and leashing it in sometimes when it tends to stray away. It's easily distracted like that.
Yes, the mind is very easily distracted. Phyllis Crystal describes that the mind is like a dog, and the leash of the dog is self-control. We spoke, in quite length about self-control last week.
Right. Yeah, we did speak about self-control a lot. That's an interesting point, that the mind is like a dog, or like an animal in some ways. Swami calls it the monkey mind, and we referred to it. We kind of alluded to that last week. Why is it considered the monkey mind? Well, I think there are several interpretations of that. But I think one of the most important is that while the mind is so powerful, it still is based on a lot of animalistic forces and tendencies. So there are some, drives that we have because we're still animals. We are humans, but we're still animals, and the mind is subject to those. So in many ways, calling the mind, a dog or a monkey mind is pretty accurate, because it is a representation of animals that have been honed to a point where they have self-control, but they have to exercise it consciously. So that's an interesting point. Phyllis Crystal had kind of really hit the nail on the head, I think, with that one. So that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, and with this illusion, we, even going back to April 24th when Swami left his physical form, is it all, what Swami has told us is that whatever we can see, whatever we can hear and touch is all Maya. It is all illusion. Because one day, I'm not trying to be negative here, but let's say an earthquake comes and shakes Jersey City to the ground. Everything that we're seeing will be reduced to rubble. And God forbid nothing will happen because we are sitting in Swami's presence. But I'm just putting it out there that, the forces of nature are so strong. We talked about nature just now. The forces of nature are so strong. Anything can really happen. So when Swami tells us that, everything that we see, everything that we hear is Maya, that is just not a fact that's just blown over our heads and into one ear and out the other. It's actually true. Same, for example, Swami himself. He was born as God in human form, as millions of devotees around the world addressed him. And we would think that, God is invincible, but he put himself under the laws of his own Maya. And that is why we had the instance where he left his physical form.
That's a really mind, eye-opening way to put that, that event. I think it's a really important way. It's a really important perspective that we should take into account, which is that, the world is filled with Maya, but that doesn't mean that anyone gets a free pass to circumvent Maya altogether. Maya is an important part of the world and of the universe and of our perception. And so everyone is subject to it. And we should remember that, because for some reason we tend to think that some people have an easier time, like Swami. Just bringing it back to preschool examples, Maya is present almost everywhere, even in our vision, in our physical vision, as in our optical vision. They have published over the years scores of different kinds of optical illusions, which are really simple. They're just black and white images that evoke different sorts of visual phenomena, because our mind is so used to filling in the gaps of the Maya in the real world, of the illusion. And so it generates illusions itself in the things that we see. Rishi, actually, I think we have an image of an optical illusion, if you can put that up on the screen. So this image is for those who are listening on audio, this image is a white background with a lot of little black squares, and the black squares are in a grid form, so that in between all the black squares you have these white lines running through them, and in the corners of the grids where the white lines intersect, you see, it's not actually there, but you see these flickering gray dots. And, why is that? Why do we see that? And the reason for that is that our mind is so used to filling in those gaps, as they say, the gaps, the lapses in the world optically, that it's so used to filling in those gaps with color, that now it's just managed to present the illusion to us that there is actually some color there, when in reality there isn't. So that's a really simple example, I think, of Maya, but it is, it's a really valid one, because it's so simple. It's so kind of childish in its nature, but it manages to affect us every day. Visual illusions are one aspect of Maya, but there's a whole bunch of different kinds of illusions, and emotional illusions and spiritual illusions. So we have to be really cognizant of that so that we can have self-control and be aware so that we can mitigate the effects of those illusions.
Right. And Maya or illusion is not necessarily a bad thing. Swami describes that Maya is also a dog. I think dogs are coming up a lot in today's conversation. But Swami also,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Swami also describes Maya as a dog. So what he says is that this Maya dog is guarding God's palace. But if you are friends with God, meaning you are close to God, then the dog of Maya will be friendly with you. Putting an earthly example out there, Siddhu, you have a dog named Bhairav. And
Yes,
even though
yep.
I don't come to your home too often, only because I'm 200 miles away, because I'm your friend and because I've interacted with Bhairav, he's basically kind of friendly with me. But whereas if any random stranger went up to Bhairav, I bet Bhairav would not be so cordial.
Right, absolutely. It is about your sense of your relationship with it. Absolutely. It's your relationship that dictates the response that you get.
Exactly. So, likewise, when we have a close relationship with God, we become friendly. Maya becomes friendly with us, and we can see what is really the Maya that is. Well, no Maya is really true, but we can see clearly that whatever we're seeing is Maya, and that our only goal and the only thing that really exists is God, essentially. We have the bhajan Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, which means truth is knowing the boundless God. So that is what the truth is.
It's interesting you bring up truth. There's another illusion that's very related, which is also a psychological phenomenon. And I know that I'm kind of bringing up a lot of the scientific concepts and I'm not an expert, but I'm just bringing them up. Truth. There's a really interesting illusion with truth, which is that if you start to tell a lie, and you keep on perpetuating that lie and keep on telling it over and over again.
Sorry, Siddharth?
Oh yeah, sure. I was saying that there's another illusion related to lies and truth, which is that if you continue to tell a lie over and over again, then you tend to start to believe that lie, and eventually it can get to the point where you are fooled by your own folly, so to speak. That you're being fooled by your own lie, and you start to believe that that's actually true. If you make up a story about, for example, I remember this was a very petty thing, but back in the 6th or 7th grade, I thought it was very interesting. When I introduced myself to new friends or new people, new peers, I thought it would be interesting if I mentioned that I had lived in many different places, that I had moved around as a child. And in reality, I'd only lived in 2 places at that time. And so I started telling, it's a little white lie, it's not harmful, but I started telling, the lie that I had lived in many different places, that I had lived in Europe, and that I had lived in California, and in some places that I had never even visited. And eventually it came to the point where someone asked me a few years later, so how many times have you moved? And I said, I think at least 8 or 9 times. And it wasn't something that I thought about. I just said it. And then afterwards, when I thought about that conversation, I counted the number of places I'd lived, and it was just under 3 or 4. And I said, why did I say that? I haven't lived in 8 or 9 places. And then I remembered that it was because I had told that lie so many times that I started to believe it myself. And that's a really interesting illusion, because it's something which is not even present in the external world. It's something that we produce ourselves. It's a falsehood that we kind of manufacture ourselves.
Right. So, Swami tells us about 3 H's: head, heart, and hand. And, we always say, oh, unity, thought, word, and deed, unity in thought, word, and deed. It's like in every SSC child's mind, that's just like a mantra that's been repeated over and over and over again. But this example of lying becoming an illusion, and you kind of taking it on to yourself that the lie is the truth, is literally a physical example that the 3 H's are actually in sync with each other. you're thinking that, oh yes, I've lived in so many places, and then you're actually saying it, and then you actually start to believe it.
Yeah, it's almost nonsensical when you say it like that, because you feel like we should have a better control over ourselves if we do tell a lie, which we shouldn't. But even if we do tell a lie, that we would have the awareness to remember that it is a lie. But our mind is not all powerful. It's not as infallible as we think it is. And so you bring up unity. Absolutely, unity of thought, word, and deed. Unity of thought, word, and deed is something that's drilled into a lot of our peers who've gone through, Sai spiritual education or SSE. Um, but it's a really important concept, because in many places in the real world, it's not stressed as strongly that we should have unity of thought, word, and deed. What does that even mean in the first place? Well, if you think it, it's at its simplest manifestation, it means if you think one thing and say another and then do another, and you're not being consistent with yourself, and then your mind is conflicted, and then you tend to make immoral or poor decisions, or behave poorly, and that affects a lot of different things. And it kind of serves us, putting aside all the spiritual ramifications of that. It's really important for us, in day-to-day life, that we are consistent with what we say and what we do. I'm absolutely sure that most employers wouldn't be happy if you said one thing and did another, or if you were saying one thing and then saying something else behind their back, or saying one thing and thinking another. So even in the real, even in the working, industrial or professional world, it's still important that we have unity of thought, word, and deed. So unity is a really important concept, even though it's kind of, it's a little bit boring at this point to just keep talking about that.
Correct. And, when we have this interpersonal unity, that is intrapersonal unity, that is basically on the microcosm of things. But thinking on a macrocosm, if unity within one person can create such a great effect, imagine how great the unity would be when multiple great minds are coming together.
Absolutely. Teamwork, unity between people is something which I think is being valued less and less. The most egregious example is politics, but I don't think we don't think this is the right place to get into that discussion. But interpersonal unity is, for some reason, very difficult to attain. But when it is attained, I mean, and in the limited examples that I've experienced it, with true unity, when it is attained, the results are amazing, like astounding. I can tell you, for example, and maybe Rishi, you can elaborate a little bit about this. The Swami's water project, the Sathya Sai Baba water project in India, is one of the greatest examples of unity. And for that example, for that matter, the example of the super specialty hospitals. All of those projects are wonderful examples of interpersonal unity.
Yes, definitely they are. Swami's water projects, they are now all over India. We have the Anantapur water projects, which serve over 700 villages and cover a population of more than 1 million people. We have the East and West Godavari water projects. We have the Sri Sathya Sai Ganga Canal that spans all the way from the Krishna River all the way into the metropolitan city of Chennai. And, these water projects have hundreds and hundreds of miles of pipes. And a lot of times we're involving so many different municipalities that they have to get the permission and, do all these things. And it's not like, yes, Swami declared that there shall be a water project, and it occurred because it was his divine will or his sankalpa. But it involved the man force. It involved the unity of thousands of people to come together to fulfill Swami's sankalpa. And of course, we can go on praising that it is only Swami because he gave that energy. He caused that unity to occur. So, unity is a very, very important factor in a lot of the big projects that we see that our beloved Lord has done.
Absolutely. I think, even you and I have experienced that to some degree. Unity amongst two people is probably, it seems to me, is pretty easy as compared to
Well,
unity amongst
before
a
you
lot of
go
different
there,
people.
let me let me just mention, in Parthi, in the cycle Vanthal there in Puttaparthi, when students sing bhajans, they sing, or devotional songs, they sing in pairs, and for some reason, that 3 minute flash of unity just brings about double the amount of energy, more than double. Singing together with someone is so much fun, and that's just a one small example of unity coming into play with music. When we have a big group of people, jamming on one raga or set of notes, it creates such a great experience, and it's such a great such a great piece of music that all these different albums that we hear, like Nada Brahmam, Bhavanjali, or even all these different artists like Hari Haran and A.R. Rahman. Yes, they are great leaders, but it involves an orchestra of so many people to make their direction blossom.
It's interesting that you bring up the concept of paired singing and that it provides, more than double the energy. That's I believe that's called synergy. So synergy is a concept that 1 + 1 = 3, or that the team is greater than the sum of its parts. I think it's a really important concept. When we're talking about unity and teamwork. Even you and me, we've worked on a CD called Schwartz, and we've mentioned it several times. But our experience making that CD was our first experience working in that capacity, and in many ways, we had to be very unified with each other because we were working with other people, and so we had to have a kind of unified vision. And it taught me a lot. That experience definitely taught me a lot about synergy and about how to bring together the best of two minds and then generate something that's greater than what both of them individually could put together combined. So synergy is a really interesting topic, and it's been covered numerous different times by many different philosophers and like public speakers and things like that. I can bring up an example that's really that's really interesting. It's a prevalent example in nature. In nature, when they discuss, like in ecology, when they discuss synergy, they talk about it as mutualistic or symbiotic relationships. And there's several kinds of these. I think probably our favorite, inspired by the great movie Finding Nemo, it's a wonderful movie, is the relationship between a clownfish and the anemone. So the clownfish is a little orange fish, and the anemone is sort of an organism that has several different like these appendages, and the clownfish lives in this anemone. It's its home. It's a habitat, but the anemone provides shelter and food for the clownfish, and at the same time, the clownfish keeps the anemone clean and wards off predators. So it's a very interesting mutualistic, synergistic relationship between the two of them. Individually, they're pretty powerful organisms, but together they're extremely powerful. So as humans, as human minds, we should try to do that more. We should try to come together, under the premise, we know that the Lord is the doer, we're simply instruments, but still we need to be good instruments and we need to perform in unison. So coming together with a joint mission and having the sort of synergistic mindset, I think, is really important to achieving something great.
And going back to the experience of recording the album, we were two relatively naive American teenagers who are taking on this huge task of going to a country halfway across the world and recording an album. And of course we had the support of your grandmother and brother Shyam Sundar, who helped us arrange all the different artists who came and sang with us. But the synergy that we developed has resulted in such a great friendship that we now share. And if you remember, we even had a little bit of roughs in the middle, and it just goes to show that even a little bit of arguing can go such a long way in just causing so much drama and causing so much emotional distress. And now that we look back on those times, they were relatively very minute things that caused little arguments. Deciding what instruments to put through the keyboard, or a whole host of different little arguments. And so that is why essentially we have these big wars and these big tensions that we have going on all around the world, because people just can't seem to agree or reach compromises on very small issues. And that is why we have the great saying, united we stand and divided we fall.
It's a wonderfully powerful saying. It seems like your point seems a little bit far-fetched at first when you think about it, because you feel like, minute petty arguments between two people, how could that possibly apply to nations and like huge societies? But I think at its core, that is really the issue. The issue is that we have this tendency as humans and as minds, as unleashed minds, untethered minds, to disagree, and then fuel that disagreement with violence and all sorts of different harmful things. So at the very least, they say, let's agree to disagree. That's the minimum. I think that's the minimum amount of unity you should have. That's not even unity to me. That's just barely tolerating someone. I've always been told that there's tolerance, there is hatred, then there's avoidance, then there's tolerance, and then there's respect. So it's hatred is what we really should avoid. Then you can just there's avoidance of that person, where you just don't want to be around that person. Then there's tolerance, where you accept that they are who they are, and you simply let them, you interact with them. But then finally there's respect, and there's mutual respect, where you and that person really truly believe that who you are is who you are supposed to be, and that there's nothing wrong with you. Put aside your differences and just accept that person is meant to be that way, and love that person as they are, which is what we really should do. And it sounds very cheesy, but I think that's truly the solution to a lot of the issues that we have today.
Of course. And you brought up a very good point about acceptance and accepting different kinds of people. We've grown in an environment of psi ideals, where we've been taught that all religions and all faiths are one. They're all pathways to God. There's only one caste, the caste of humanity. But I've met a few people in my school who come from neighborhoods that in particular just have one nationality is predominant there. And when they come to such a diverse environment as a school such as mine, which is in a urban city, they literally have a culture shock and find it difficult to interact with people of different languages and different countries, which to us seems a bit arbitrary, and to a lot of people it would. But it's just astounding that how acceptance can literally create someone's personality, and how it affects interpersonal relationships and interpersonal communication.
Right. That's the other thing, is that, this is kind of the dilemma that we face, is that there are people who are, who have a difficult time accepting others. But they also are people. Those people who have a difficult time accepting others, those people are people as well, and they have a way of living, and they have opinions,
and they have to be accepted as well.
Right. And so how do we accept those people? It's very easy to dismiss people who we feel are violent or are bigoted or whatever. But how do we accept those people? So that's a really interesting dilemma, because now the focus is on us. What do we do? For example, when we are faced by a situation where we would rather avoid something rather than face it and respect it, because we feel like that situation is detrimental to us. What does that say about our ability to tolerate and to respect others? Does that mean that we are simply looking out for number one, that we're looking out for ourselves, and that is our primary focus? Or does it mean that we are not, we're just as bad as anyone who doesn't accept others when we shy away from those people that we feel are detrimental to us? So when we have that sort of discrimination, that negative discrimination towards people, for any reason, what does that say about us? And I think that's an important thing to remember. I know that I make split-second judgments about, just, they say that you make your opinion of a person just from their physical appearance within 7 seconds of meeting them. That's again coming back to the mind. The mind is extremely powerful, and we have to make sure that we keep control over it and leash it in, and are very aware and cognizant of the decisions that it makes and the processes of the mind.
Tying this back to unity of thought, word, and deed, sometimes that unity kind of needs to be breaking. There is a catch in that. If you're, of course, our mind is so powerful, we will have these judgments of people within 7 seconds. Well, is it really right? If it's a negative judgment, thoughts come and go. Swami says thoughts are like passing clouds. But is it really right to act on those bad thoughts that just come spontaneously, or even talk about those bad thoughts? For example, I see somebody and I think they look ugly, they look uneducated, they look untidy, they probably have a really bad personality. These thoughts can flash through somebody's mind within a matter of a few seconds. But would it be right if I brought them to word or to action?
That's a really, really good question. That is probably, in my experience in SSC, that's probably one of the most prevalent questions that come up in the older years. And it's I think one of the most difficult to answer when we're talking about unity of thought, word, and deed. I think the true answer to that question is that we have to have control over our thoughts, which is the most difficult state. Is easy. Controlling words is a little bit tougher, but still fairly easy. Controlling thoughts is probably the most difficult of the three.
Swami,
we were talking about.
Swami says controlling, thoughts are like passing clouds. Trying to control your thoughts is like trying to control the weather.
Right, and I don't know much about meteorology, but I assume that's pretty tough. So I would, controlling thoughts is something that is, thoughts are natively human. We were talking about thumb meditation last week, about just looking at your thumb for 12 seconds, I think it was, can focus you, really and truly. I think that it's pretty difficult, but it's possible to have a very good control, over what you're thinking, and very, very good control over your thoughts. But sometimes our mind wanders, and so we just need to be aware that, sometimes thoughts come and go, but we also need to give them the appropriate importance and weight that they deserve. If thoughts are simply passing clouds, it's only about, if the cloud rains, so you can think about it like this: if the cloud rains, then you're acting on the thought. So if it doesn't rain, then simply just observe it as a passing thought, as a passing cloud just traveling by, and just give it that importance. It's not that important. You don't have to share it. You don't have to act upon it. Of course, you shouldn't encourage those thoughts, but you should definitely just not give it the importance that it deserves if it's not a desirable thought, and just let it pass as a cloud. Just observe it, say that's a thought, and let it move on.
Yes, and we spoke in length about unity and synergy, and Swami says from unity we attain purity, and from purity we attain divinity. Well, we're about to play a discourse of our beloved Lord, and the title of the discourse actually happens to be Pure Thoughts Lead You Closer to God. So we've talked about unity. Now Swami will be speaking to us about pure thoughts, and then we will be hearing the voice of divinity itself. So with that, I would like to transfer the show to God in human form, our beloved Lord, Bhagawan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Siddharth, any closing remarks?
I'm just excited to hear the discourse and, of course, the Bhajans following. So thanks to everyone listening. This is my favorite time of the week. It's a wonderful opportunity. So thanks to everybody. Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram.
మనసు మాలిన్యములనెల్ల మట్టుబెట్టి మనసు మాలిన్యములనెల్ల మట్టుబెట్టి పరమ పరిశుద్ధ భావము పాదుకొలుప జ్ఞాన దృష్టియు నేర్పడి కానబడును విశ్వమంతయు బ్రహ్మమై వెలుగునటులా విశ్వమంతయు బ్రహ్మై వెలుగునటులా.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
embodiments of love.
ఈనాడు మీరు చేసినటువంటి యొక్క పవిత్రమైనటువంటి నామస్మరణ అన్ని ఆధారమైనటువంటి యొక్క హృదయాల్లోన ప్రవేశిస్తున్నాయి.
The chanting of the sacred, matchless name of God will certainly sanctify the hearts of the vast humanity.
కనుక మీరు చెడ్డ భావనకు ఏమాత్రం అవకాశం ఇవ్వకండి.
Never give scope for bad thoughts.
బ్యాడ్ వర్డ్స్ అంతా మీరు అవకాశం ఇవ్వకండి.
Never speak bad words.
పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యొక్క పదవులు మీరు ఉపయోగపెట్టండి.
Use always sacred words.
తీయని పదవులు ఉపయోగపెట్టండి.
Talk sweetly.
దైవనామాన్ని ఉపయోగపెట్టండి.
And sing glory of God.
దానివల్లనే జగత్తుకంతా మనం ఉపకారం చేసిన వారం అవుతాం.
That renders almost a help to the whole
హెల్ప్
world.
ఎవర్ హర్ట్ నెవర్.
Help ever, hurt never.
ఇతరులకు ఏమాత్రం కూడా అపకారం చేయకండి.
Never harm anybody.
ఉపకారమే చేస్తూ రండి.
Help others continuously.
ఈ ఉపకారం చేస్తూ రావటం చేత మీకు అంతా కూడా ఉపయోగమైనటువంటి యొక్క ఫలములే కలుగుతాయి.
When once you help everybody, you will have positive results.
కనుక
So,
మీరు తగినటువంటి ఒక కాలం అంతా కూడాను వ్యర్థం చేయకండి.
never waste your time.
చదువుతో పాటు
Along with education,
నామస్మరణతో పాటు
along with singing,
దివ్యమైనటువంటి యొక్క కీర్తనతో పాటు
along with singing good
హృదయాన్ని
hymns,
పవిత్రంగా గావించుకోండి.
you should make your hearts sacred. You will not
భావం
receive
తద్భవతి.
as is your feeling, so will be your experience.
కనుక నీ యొక్క చెడ్డ భావములే నీకు ఆ రియాక్షన్, రీసౌండ్ అండ్ రిఫ్లెక్షన్ గా వస్తున్నాయి.
It's only your bad thought that comes back to you in the form of reaction, reflection and resound.
ఇది ఏమాత్రమో జీవుల్లోటి చెడ్డ గుణములు కాదు.
Never give any scope for such things.
నీ యందున్నటువంటి చెడ్డ గుణములే.
In fact, all qualities are in you.
కేవలం నీ యొక్క జీవులపైన నిరూపించి వాటిని నీవు హింసిస్తున్నావు.
You attribute these things to other beings and blame them.
ఎలాంటి వారినైనా సరే నీకు దుర్మార్గంగా వచ్చే వారిని నువ్వు ప్రేమించు.
Let him be anyone, good or bad, you should continue to love.
దేహంలో ఉండినటువంటి యొక్క సమస్తమైనటువంటి యొక్క అంగములకు సన్నిహిత సంబంధ బాంధవ్యం ఉంటుండాలి.
There is intimate relationship between different organs of the body.
దేహంలో ఉండినటువంటి ఐకమత్యము మరి ఏ ఒక్క దీనిలో కూడా మనకు కనిపించదు.
The unity present in the body is present nowhere else.
దీనికి నీ మనసుకు కూడాను మరింత సన్నిహిత సంబంధ బాంధవ్యం ఉంటుండాలి.
There is much more intimate relationship between the body and the mind.
కనుక మనోదేహముల యొక్క ప్రభావాన్ని మానవుడు మొట్టమొదటిగా గుర్తించాలి.
Man must realize the effect of the relationship between the body and the mind.
మనసు యొక్క ప్రభావం కూడాను ఆరోగ్యం పైన అమితంగా ఉంటుంటాది.
The thinking faculty of the mind has got effect on the body.
కేవలం దేహం పైన మాత్రమే కాదు, జగత్తు పైన కూడాను మన ప్రభావం చాలా అధికంగా ఉంటుండాలి.
The effects of the mind, they not merely reflect on the body but on the
అందువలన
world.
వేదాంత ప్రబోధయందు మనోమూలం ఇదం జగత్.
That's why in Vedantic parlance it is said, the entire world is of your own mind.
నిత్య జీవితంలో మనం భుజించే సమయం నందు కూడాను ఒక రౌద్రమైనటువంటి విషయాలు కానీ, దుఃఖకరమైన విషయాలు కానీ, లేక కోపతాపములకు అవకాశం ఇచ్చేటువంటి విషయాలు కానీ మనము సంభాషించకూడదు.
While taking food, we should not indulge in talks that would raise our temper, the anger and agitational thoughts.
భుజించే సమయంలో ప్రశాంతమైనటువంటి యొక్క మనస్సుతో, పవిత్రమైనటువంటి భావములతో, కొంత దివ్యమైనటువంటి యొక్క తలంపులతో మనం ఆహారం తీసుకోవాలి.
While taking food, we should have mental peace and we should have all sacredness and the divine
ఈ
feelings.
మెంటల్ టెన్షన్ అనేటువంటిది అనారోగ్యానికి కారణం.
Mental tension is responsible for ill health.
కనుక ఈనాటి ఆధునిక యుగమునందు భుజించే సమయమునందు కూడాను కొన్ని వికారమైనటువంటి యొక్క చేష్టలను ప్రదర్శించి ఒక విద్యుక్తమైనటువంటి యొక్క వాక్యములను అనుభవించేటువంటి యొక్క ఈ టీవీలు, రేడియోలు, వీడియోలు చూస్తూ మనం భుజిస్తూ ఉన్నాం.
In this modern age, while taking food, we take to perverse paths such as agitational feelings on just viewing
ఒకవైపున ఆహారం
TV.
భుజిస్తూ ఒకవైపున దృశ్యము తోపల ఒక దుష్టమైనటువంటి యొక్క దీనిని మనము పరికిస్తూ రావటం చేత మన మనస్సు కొంత మాలిన్యమారంగా మారిపోతుంది.
While taking food, we watch wicked acts on TV, leading to mental disturbance.
మనస్సు మాలిన్యం కాకుండా చూసుకోవడానికి తగినటువంటి కృషి చేయాలి.
We should make every effort to see that mind is not polluted.
మనోమాలిన్యం చేతనే అమితంగా అనారోగ్యం ఏర్పడుతూ వస్తున్నాయి.
It is this mental pollution that leads to ill health.
మనము భుజించే సమయం నందు కానీ ఇంకే విధమైనటువంటి కొన్ని అశాంతులు మనకు సంభవించిన సమయం నందు కానీ ప్రశాంతిగా మనము కొంత విచారణ చేస్తూ కాలమును గడపాలి.
Therefore, while taking food and otherwise, we should be at peace and spend time.
మానవునికి పరిపూర్ణ ఆనందం అందించేటువంటిది మూడు.
Man receives total bliss out of three.
అవే పి మూడు పీలు.
There are 3 P's.
ఫస్ట్ పి ప్యూరిటీ,
The first P is purity.
రెండవ పి పేషెన్స్,
The second P, patience.
థర్డ్ పి పర్సివరెన్స్.
Third P, perseverance.
ఈ మూడింటిని మనం సాధ్యమైనంత వరకు సాధించినప్పుడు మనం ఎట్టి రోగములకు కూడాను అవకాశం ఉండదు మనలో.
When you have these 3, there will be no scope for any disease.
ఈనాటి మానవుడు మితిమీరిన ఆశకు గురి అవుతున్నాడు.
Man is suffering from excessive desire now.
తినే ఆహారం కూడాను ఒక సాత్వికమైనటువంటి ఆహారంగా ఉంటుండాలి.
The food that he takes should be pious.
కేవలము మాంసము, మద్యపానాదులు, సిగరెట్లు ఇలాంటి ఒక మత్తు సంబంధమైనటువంటి ఒక పదార్థములే కాకుండా
Not merely the meat eating, cigarettes and intoxicating drinks.
కొంత మనము సంపాదించేటువంటి యొక్క ధనమునందు కూడాను అన్యాయార్జిత ధనం కూడాను ఇందులో కొంతవరకు రోగమునకు అవకాశం ఉంటుండాలి.
Money earned through wrongful means will add to the disease.
ఈ అన్యాయార్జితమైనటువంటి ధనముతో మనం భుజించటం చేత మనకు అనేక విధములైనటువంటి మనకు తెలియనటువంటి వ్యాధులు మనలో ఆవిర్భవిస్తున్నాయి.
Because of earnings through unjustifiable methods, we suffer from disease.
దీనిని హిందీ లోపల కూడాను జైసే అన్నే ఐసే మన్ అన్నారు. ఎలాంటి ఆహారము అలాంటి మనసు,
As is the food, so is the mind.
ఎలాంటి మనసు అలాంటి సంకల్పము,
As is the mind, so is the
ఎలాంటి
thought.
సంకల్పంలో అలాంటి ప్రవర్తన,
As is the thought, so is
ఎలాంటి
behavior.
ప్రవర్తన అలాంటి ఆరోగ్యం.
As is the behavior, so is our health.
కనుక ప్రవర్తన సక్రమమైనదిగా ఉంటుండాలి.
So behavior should be proper.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా,
Embodiments of love.
మీరందరూ మంచి పిల్లలే,
You are all good children.
ఇంత బంగారు పట్టి పిల్లలే.
You are really gold.
కానీ
But
కొంత వాతావరణం దీన్ని పాడు చేస్తుంది,
the environment spoils you at times.
కొంత ఆహారం కూడా దీన్ని స్పాయిల్ చేస్తుంది.
And adding to this, the food habits also are responsible.
నువ్వు ఫ్రెండ్స్ తో చేరినప్పుడు ఫ్రెండ్స్ మంచివారిగినైతే నీకు మంచి మాట చెప్తారు.
When you join the company of your friends, if the friends are good, they'll talk all good things.
ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఏమైనా సరైనటువంటి వారు కాకపోతే
If the friends are not good,
నీకు బ్యాడ్ థాట్ చెప్తారు.
and naturally they share with you their bad
టెల్
thoughts.
మీ యువర్ కంపెనీ, ఐ షల్ టెల్ యూ వాట్ యు ఆర్.
Tell me your company, I shall tell you what you are.
నీవు ఎలాంటి వాడి స్నేహితుడు నీవు చెప్పితే నీవు ఎలాంటి వాడు నేను చెప్పగలను.
If you just mention your friend, your character can be decided in
కనుక
spell.
మీరందరూ కూడా మంచి ఫ్రెండ్స్ చేరాలి.
So therefore you should join the good company always.
ఈ గుడ్ కంపెనీ చేరి
In the good company,
అదే సత్సంగత్వ నిస్సంగత్వం, నిస్సంగత్వే నిర్మోహత్వం, నిర్మోహత్వే నిశ్చలత్వం, నిశ్చలత్వే జీవన్ముక్తి.
and therefore when you join the good company, You'll develop the sense of detachment. You'll be free from illusion. And you'll attain liberation at the end.
అన్ని ఆనందాన్ని అందించేది ఆ మనసే.
It is the mind that spreads delight and joy.
అన్నిటి దుఃఖములు విచారములు అందించేది కూడా మనసే.
It is the mind that is the cause for all disturbances, anxieties and worries.
కానీ ఆ మైండ్ని మనము సరైన రీతిలో పెట్టుకున్నప్పుడు అది ఏమాత్రం కూడా చెడ్డది మనకు అందించదు.
When once we keep the mind in the correct exact position, it will never lead to any kind of pain.
మైండ్ అది కూడా దైవంగా భావించు.
Consider mind divine.
అప్పుడు నీవు ఎప్పుడు ఆనందంగా ఉంటావు.
You will be in blissful state continuously.
ఈ మైండ్ అంతా కూడా బాడీ పైన పెడుతున్నావు.
You are concentrating your mind on the body.
కానీ బాడీ ఏమిటి?
What is there in the body?
బాడీ ఇస్ లైక్ ఏ వాటర్ బబుల్.
Body is like a water bubble.
Mind is like a mad monkey.
Mind is like a mad monkey.
Don't follow the mind.
Don't follow the mind.
Don't follow the mind. Don't follow the body.
Don't follow the mind. Don't follow the body.
Follow the conscious.
Follow the conscience. Follow the conscience.
Chitta Suddhi, Jnana Siddhi.
The purity of heart, Chitta Shuddhi, will confer Jnana Siddhi, the acquisition of wisdom.
చిత్తం శుద్ధిగా ఉండినప్పుడే జ్ఞానం కూడా మనకు శుద్ధిగా అందుతుంది.
When once there is purity, you will have wisdom.
ప్యూరిటీ ఆఫ్ మైండ్.
The purity of the mind.
కనుక నీ ప్యూరిటీగా పెట్టుకో.
Therefore keep the mind pure.
ఎప్పుడు కూడా ఎలాంటి చెడ్డ భావాలు వచ్చినప్పటికీ ఇవన్నీ నాట్ గుడ్, నాట్ గుడ్, నాట్ గుడ్, దిస్ ఇస్ నాట్ మైండ్.
Whenever there is a chance of bad thoughts coming in, always feel this is not good, this is not good for me, brush it aside.
ఇవన్నీ కూడా నువ్వు నా సొత్తులు కాదు.
They don't belong to me.
ఇవన్నీ నా ప్రాపర్టీ కాదు.
These bad thoughts don't belong to me, not my property.
మై ప్రాపర్టీ అనేటువంటి గుడ్ థాట్స్, గుడ్ ఐడియాస్.
Good thoughts, good ideas constitute your property.
లవ్ 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 లవ్.
The love is the biggest property.
లవ్ ఈజ్ గాడ్.
Love is God.
లివ్ ఇన్ లవ్.
Live in love.
మనసు కూడా ఒక కల్పితమైనటువంటిది.
And we should also understand it's just an instrument.
మన ఏవ మనుష్యానాం కారణం బంధమోక్షేవో.
Mind is responsible for the bondage or liberation.
కనుక మనసు కూడా మారేటువంటిది.
Even the mind also changes.
కనుక మనసు నీవు కాదు.
And you are not the mind either.
బుద్ధి నీవు కాదు.
You are not the intellect.
మనసు అనేటువంటిది కేవలం ఒక కోరికల బండల్.
And mind is just a bundle of desires.
ఈ డిజైర్స్ ఉన్నంత వరకు కూడా నీవు ఈ మనసును మార్చుకుంటూ ఉంటావు.
So long the desires last, mind undergoes changes like that.
మనసును నీవు ఏమాత్రము మార్చవద్దు.
So never change that mind like that.
మనసు కేవలం కోరికల యొక్క గుంపు.
And mind is just a combination, group of thoughts.
ఈ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ కాస్ట్ అనగా అది ఉన్నంత వరకు కూడా నీవు ఏమాత్రము శాంతి పడవదు.
So long there are desires, you will never be in peace.
ఆ మనసును ఏకంగా చేసుకుని
With one-pointedness,
స్థిరంగా పెట్టుకున్నప్పుడే
when once you are steady,
నీవు తప్పక మంచివాడు అవుతావు.
you are bound to be good.
నీవు మంచివాడు కావాలంటే దాన ధర్మాలు చేస్తే కాదు. నీవు
If you want to be good, it's not enough if you take acts of charity.
కానీ దైవానికి అర్పితం చేయి.
Surrender yourself to God.
అప్పుడే నీకు అన్ని విధాలా కూడా శాంతి కూడా కలుగుతుంది, సంతోషం లభిస్తుంది.
Then only you will be happy and peaceful forever and ever.
కనుక ప్రతి మానవుడు కూడా తన యందు ఒక మనసు ఉన్నది.
Every man has got this manas or the mind.
కనుక ఆ మనసే దేవుడు.
And that very mind should be filled with the
ఈ
divinity.
భౌతికమైనటువంటి కోరికలు రావడం చేత మనసు చాలా మార్పు చెందుతుంది.
Because of desires, mind has taken a different turn.
కనుక డిజైర్స్ అనేటువంటి మీద కంట్రోల్ చేయండి.
Control your desires.
కనుక నేను అన్ని సమయాల్లో చెప్తుంటాను, కంట్రోల్ యువర్ థాట్స్.
Bhagawan always repeatedly tells us, control your thoughts.
థాట్స్ కంట్రోల్ చేస్తే అంతా కంట్రోల్ అవుతుంది.
With this thought control, rest of the things can be controlled.
तनया सिद्धि विनायक पार्वती तनया सिद्धि विनायका मंगलदायक देवा मंगलदायक देवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा सिंदूरवदना प्रथम वंदना सिंदूरवदना प्रथम वंदना परम निरंजना मूषिक वाहन अलख निरंजना मूषिक वाहन पाशांकुशधरा शंभो नंदना पाशांकुशधर शंभो नंदना मंगलदायक देवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा पार्वती तनया सिद्धि विनायक मंगलदायक देवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा सिंदूरवदना प्रथम वंदना अलख निरंजना मूषिक वाहन पाशांकुशधरा शंभो नंदना शंभो नंदना पाशांकुशधर शंभो नंदना मंगलदायक देवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेशा 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 पार्वती तनया सिद्धि विनायक ओम साई ओम नारायण ओम मासुए ओम साई ओम नारायण ओम माय स्वीट Due to some good karma I have come to thee. Due to some good karma I have come to thee. Let the vibhuti of love flow between you and me. Let the vibhuti of love flow between you and me. Om Sai Om Narayana Om, my sweet Lord. We try to be how you want us to be, so guide us, merciful Lord. You try to be how you want us to be, so guide us, merciful Lord. Work on us, be kind to us, show us the right path. Work on us, be kind to us, show us the right path. Om Sai Om Narayana Om, my sweet Lord. Due to some good karma I have come to thee. Let the vibhuti of love flow between you and me. Sai Om Narayana Om, my sweet Lord. We try to be how you want us to be, so guide us, merciful Lord. We try to be how you want us to be, so guide us, merciful Lord. Work on us, be kind to us, show us the right path. Work on us, be kind to us, show us the right path. Narayana, oh my sweet Lord. Bhajo Re Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Bhajo Re Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Hare Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Atma Bhirama, Prabhu Sai Rama. Atma Bhirama, Jaya Sai Rama. Atma Bhirama, Prabhu Sai Rama. Shri Ram, Jaya Rama, Kalyan Rama. Shri Ram, Jaya Rama, Pattabhirama. Bhajo Re Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sita Rama, Shri Raghurama. Hare Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Atma Bhirama, Prabhu Sai Rama. Atma Bhirama, Prabhu Sai Rama. Atma Bhirama, Prabhu Sai Rama. Shri Ram, Jaya Rama, Kalyan Rama. Shri Ram, Jaya Rama, Pattabhirama. Bhajo Re Sada Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Mandara Maladhara, Jaya Gauri Shankara. Mandara Maladhara, Jaya Gauri Shankara. Har Hara Pahi Trinetra. Har Hara Pahi Trinetra. Gangadhar Bimbadhar Chandra Mauli Shankara. Gangadhar Bimbadhar Chandra Mauli Shankara. Mandara Maladhara, Jaya Gauri Shankara. Vamadeva Mahadeva, Shiva 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 Shankara. Vamadeva Mahadeva, Shiva 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 Shankara. Sathya Dharma Shanti Prema, Sathya Sai Shankara. Satya Dharma Shanti Prema, Satya सत्य साई शंकरा मंदार माल धरा जय गौरी शंकरा हर हरा पाहि त्रिनेत्रा गंगाधर बिंबाधर चंद्रमौली शंकरा मंदार माल धरा जय गौरी शंकरा वामदेव महादेव शिव 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 शंकरा शिव 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 शंकरा शिव 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 शंकरा शिव 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 शंकरा वामदेव महादेव शिव 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 शंकरा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम सत्य साई शंकरा सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम सत्य साई शंकरा धरा जय गौरी शंकरा
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
मथुरा नाथा हे गिरिधारी
मथुरा नाथा हे गिरिधारी
मथुरा नाथा हे गिरिधारी
मथुरानाथा हे गिरिधारी
राधा माधव हे गिरिधारी
राधा माधव हे गिरिधारी
हे राधा माधव हे गिरिधारी
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 भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
गोविंद मुरारे गोपाल मुरारे
हरे भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
मथुरा नाथा हे गिरिधारी
मथुरा नाथा हे गिरिधारी
राधा माधव 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 हे गिरिधारी
भजन करो मनवा गोविंद हरे
शिव नटराया donde está शिव नटराया donde está en el corazón de la verdad en el corazón de la verdad शिव नटराया donde está baila ritmo del tambor. Baila al ritmo del tambor. Ven conmigo, oh Señor. Ven conmigo, Señor. Shiva Nataraya, ¿dónde está? Shiva, Shiva Nataraya, ¿dónde está? En el corazón de la verdad. Shiva, Shiva, Shiva Nataraya, ¿dónde está? Baila al ritmo del tambor. Del tambor, baila al ritmo del tambor. Ven conmigo, Señor. Ven conmigo, Señor. Shiva Nataraya, ¿dónde está? Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana. Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana. Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana. Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana. Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana, Radha Ramana. Vanmale Radha Ramana, Giridhare Govinda. Vanmale Radha Ramana, Giridhare Govinda. Neelamegha Sundara Narayana Govinda. Neelamegha Sundara Narayana Govinda. Vanmale Radha Ramana, Giridhare Govinda. Bhakta Hridaya Mandara, Bhavanukoti Sundara. Bhakta Hridaya Mandara, Bhavanukoti Sundara. Jaya Nanda Nanda Gopa Vrinda, Narayana Govinda. Jaya Nanda Nanda Gopa Vrinda, Narayana Govinda. Narayana Govinda. Narayana Govinda. Narayana Govinda. Narayana Govinda. Narayana Govinda. नारायण गोविंदा नारायण गोविंदा राधारमण 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 हे राधारमण राधारमण हे राधारमण राधारमण जय जय राधारमण 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 नारायण 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 गोविंदा साई नारायण गोविंदा साई नारायण गोविंदा नारायण 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 गोविंदा नारायण 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 गोविंदा नारायण गोविंदा नारायण गोविंदा मेरे नारायण गोविंदा साई नारायण गोविंदा नील मेघ सुंदरा नारायण गोविंदा
उदित मन से कहो राम 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 श्री राम 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 पाप कटे दुख मिटे लेत राम नाम भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम भव समुद्र सुखद नाम एक राम नाम परम शांति सुख निदान दिव्य राम नाम परम शांति सुख निदान दिव्य राम नाम परम शांति निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम माता पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम माता पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम भक्त जनर जीवन धन एक राम नाम भक्त जनर जीवन धन एक राम नाम
The Lord of the universe is here. Swami Sathya Sai is here. Come to save devotees everywhere. Come to bless His children everywhere. Born in portability, the Lord of the universe is here. Calm and tranquil like the moon, shining with divine inner light, filling all with bliss at His side. He is always serving those in need, answering the prayers of devotees, giving grace to you. The Lord of the universe is here. Sai, you are Guru, God and Soul. Mother, you are everything to us. Father, you are everything to us. You are the divine primal energy, manifest as all that we ever see. You are the one reality, the Lord of the universe is here. Sai, with the sacred form of Om, universal radiance divine, please accept this offering of mine, the flame of love that burns within my heart, meaning we can never be apart. You and I are ever. The Lord of the universe is here. Sai, Sathya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Sathya Narayana Narayana Om Sai Narayana Narayana. The Lord of the universe is here. Narayana Narayana Om Sathya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Sathya Narayana Narayana Om Sai Narayana Narayana Om. Jai Sadguru Deva, Jai Jai Narayana Narayana Om Sathya Narayana 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 Om Narayana Narayana Om Sathya Narayana Narayana Om Sai Narayana Narayana Om. Jai Sadguru Deva. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagawan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai.